going on, everyone, and welcome to Around the Metaverse, our weekly show. We bring together some of the best content creators from the blockchain and NFT gaming community, talk about all the recent news, and give you guys everything you need to know to stay up to date. My name's Adam. I'll be your host today, but more importantly, we've got another great show for you guys today, and an amazing group of guests. Some familiar faces returning to the show. Great to have everyone on. First and foremost, CryptoStache, man. How's it going on this fine Monday?
Yo, doing it, man. How it goes? Another Monday. Hanging out. I don't know. It's been a rough Monday actually. It's been kind of a rough Monday. We were trying to get a new thing going. I'll just throw it out there. We're trying to get VMix going for this stream, and I botched it. I botched it a hard time. So we're back to the old stuff.
Yeah, but slight technical difficulties won't stop us here. Nothing to do there except keep pushing on. We got Hysteria back for another appearance on the show. Thanks for coming on, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, really well. You know, every day working in crypto and play to earn's another fun day. So really can't complain.
Oh yeah. For those of you watching who might not know, Hysteria is one of the founders of Non-Fungible Gang, a pretty active NFT and blockchain gaming focused guild. You guys do a lot on Wax too. So if you're Wax homies, check them out for sure. Next up, happy to have you back, Sammy Snake. How are you doing?
I'm good. Sleep schedule is a bit screwed because I've been watching March Madness, but I'm absolutely loving it.
I mean, what can you do though, right? Best time of the year for you guys who like basketball.
Basketball Christmas.
Yeah. You guys watching too, if you haven't met Sammy before, creator of Nova Rally, another play to earn game on Wax, kind of focused or based around wacky racers. You could see those dope characters in the background there. And then last, but certainly not least, we got Q for another appearance on the show. Q, how's it going?
You know, I'm always surprised you invite me back, so I'm having a good time. I've had my VMix troubles, and I will say one more thing. March Madness is Christmas, but I watched my Auburn Tigers lose yesterday. I drove to South Carolina and to watch them get spanked by Miami, so it wasn't Christmas for me.
It wasn't Christmas. It wasn't Christmas. But what do you mean, man? Of course, we want to have you back on the show. Founder of NFT Live, for those of you who aren't watching, and also a good friend of the show. We got a great we got a great bunch of topics to go over today. Another exciting week in NFTs in the metaverse. We're going to be looking at Apecoin. So Bored Ape Yacht Club in the news again. It seems like every week they're doing something that makes a headline. But there's no surprise there. We're going to be talking about GameStop, kind of falling short on their recent earnings call, and what they might be looking to do to kind of reinvigorate investors and some interest in their business, specifically focused on the metaverse and an NFT marketplace that might be coming here pretty soon. And then lastly, just talking about when mass adoption. You know, NFTs, are they here to stay? Is it a fad? I think all of us are going to say yes to that. But when is the question, you know? So let's dive into it. Before we do, don't forget to smash that like and hit subscribe if you haven't already. Help us show the YouTube algorithm that NFTs are the future. But let's jump right into things and talk about Apecoin here. For those of you who might not know, Yuga Labs, the creators of Bored Ape Yacht Club, last week we talked about them kind of making headlines in taking on the CryptoPunks IP, acquiring that from Larva Labs. And now this week, another headline, another massive story, and just about anything anyone can talk about on crypto Twitter, whether it be losing your entire life savings, degen trading this coin, or just getting dropped $100,000 out of thin air, or whatever it might have been for your apes. This is all anyone can talk about. I want to get your guys' opinion. Stache, let me start with you. Like, what do you think about Apecoin, man? Did you expect Bored Ape Yacht Club to actually follow through with this? Because I know there's been mention of a token, for a long time now. And, maybe this came a little under the radar for some people.
I mean, I think that they were always going to go through with this. I don't think there was any plan for them to, talk about it, release information about it, then not do it. But, it makes sense to me. When you have a popular anything in crypto that doesn't originally start off with a token, it's going to end up having a token at some point. I mean, it's like the next evolution, because usually you see projects and that's their first thing they're trying to be successful with, is they launch a token and they're trying to make that the pinnacle of success. But with NFTs and gaming, you know, a lot of times it goes the other way around. They launch an NFT and then launch a token. And we've seen that here with Bored Ape. I'm actually surprised they didn't do it a little sooner. But I think that we're seeing them make a lot of moves here all at once. So trying to support everything they're kind of moving towards, right?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm interested to see, you know, how things continue on now that it's been out, and you know, as we go into the coming weeks and months. They they kind of mentioned that there was going to be, or that this token is going to be like the token of the metaverse, right? Like everything and anything, you know, a meme coin, a utility coin. You know, it's going to be the Web3 token. There's been a lot of ridiculous takes on Twitter that I've seen. But Q, let me ask you, man, do you think that Apecoin is going to actually have utility? Like, what do you think it's going to be used for? I know there's like mention of them building a metaverse and things like that. Where do you see this going?
Listen, anytime I've sold anything from Bored Ape, I've instantly regretted it. I accidentally left my M2 serum up for sale for like 8 ETH, and now it's like at 60. And I've only ever regretted ever even trying to put it on sale. So Yuga's made good moves all over the place. So I can only see it going up. I thought that they would do a token, but I did not think that it would be in Q1. Like it was like 10 days left, and we were kind of looking at the watch saying, okay, you said Q1. But utility wise, I think they already laid some of that out, right? They talked about it being part of the metaverse, like currency of whatever metaverse they ended up launching. They've done merch already. They've done a bunch of different things, you know, in the space so far. So they could do, and they've shown that they could take this to any sector and do pretty well, you know? So I think Snoop Dogg launched something on, I'm forgetting the platform, but he launched like a single or a couple music pieces that were only available for Apecoin. So there's all these like little pockets of things and utility pieces for Ape that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and I don't know if all you guys saw it, but they also put out like there was like, I think it was from the team. I don't think it was user or like created, this little like video of them in like a submarine, kind of like going on this metaverse journey. And it had like all of the popular like other collections that aren't Yuga Labs IP, like Cool Cats. Shoot, I'm forgetting some of the other big blue chip ETH NFTs because I'm not good on ETH stuff. But it was funny. I saw another tweet underneath it of like the same submarine filled with like the most disastrous NFTs. Like there was a Kevin in there. There was like an Oni Force in there or something like that. You know, all the straight up tankers that you know, who knows if they're going to come back, except Kevin is probably going to survive. But let me get Sammy. I want to get your opinion on this. If you had got an airdrop, or if you had just been given $100,000 worth of Apecoin for free, what would you have done? Like, would you have kept some of it? Would you have sold all of it right away? You know, how would you have gone about it if you got a big airdrop like that?
I think I would have probably sold it all instantly. You know, we've been on wax now, and similar things happen. Like the next stage happens, they go the token. Everyone's like, "Oh, the token," and then we see the price too many times that I held till the bitter end. So I think I would have just fired it off into oblivion, collected my $100,000, and felt very good about myself. Either way, like I think these days, you have to release a token with the utility like front and center, like in every single aspect to sustain it. I think that they probably have the brand and the connections to keep it going for a long time. But do I think that it's actually does it make sense? No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have definitely gotten rid of it.
Yeah, and I'm interested too, like to see what happens, because I know, well, so not financial advice, right? But I think maybe a lot of people's opinion out there might be to open up a big old short on it, and let that guy ride. But it's funny. I know. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Ape is listed on Coinbase, and also futures and derivatives trading is on FTX for it, which for me is crazy right off the bat.
They have pulled out the bag there. I've got to take my hat off to them. Like, okay, there's a token, but launching like that, even I was just like, what the hell? So
I
from
know,
that
right?
point of view, it should say. I don't think it will go down to the absolute dumpster. I don't think it will. I think it will be less than what it was. But I think with that sort of level of support, like we kind of saw it with Alien Worlds when they did the Trillium token launch. Like everyone said that it would plummet, and it went down in value, but because it was on Binance, like the volume being traded every day, it held. So. Like I honestly am astounded that they've managed to, like, they really pulled out the bag.
Well, yeah, and you know, it's funny. Like I said, I saw people have been making some really outrageous claims on Twitter, right, about this, like top 10 crypto, right? Apecoin, you know, gonna outpace Dogecoin and SHIB for, you know, the top meme coin of the world, which honestly isn't like that outrageous of a take. But some others were like, you know, it's gonna become like the sound money, right? Some people were like comparing it to Bitcoin, and I was like, this is outrageous.
This is the thing though. Like, Bored Ape is an elite brand that only certain people can have, right? Whereas Dogecoin is for everyone. So it's a meme coin. Meme coins are for everyone. So I just don't see how the popularity of Ape could be above Doge as a top meme coin or something. Like,
Doge is for everyone. Now you've got that possibility that somebody doesn't need to own a Bored Ape. They can just go buy one Bored Ape coin for $10. And as far as I mean, I don't care. But you know, I'm not everyone. So.
Yeah, I know.
It depends on that utility piece.
Yeah, exactly. Depends on
you. It could be like a meme coin though. You could end up like speaking to people in the street. Oh, I've heard of these Bored Apes, but now I've got a Bored Ape coin, and we're like, so what? But you know, to them, they might be happy with that.
Well, yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see like how they go about that utility for it too, and like what sort of utility you have access to as a non-ape holder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's going to determine whether or not this coin is going to be something for people who don't have apes or not, you know? So Hysteria, let me ask you, like, where do you see not just the token, but the NFTs and the brand itself, Bored Ape Yacht Club, and their, you know, not derivatives, but subsidiaries, Mutant Apes, and I think they did a Kennel Club, right? Is also Bored Ape. Where do you see that in, you know, the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you know?
You know, I wish I had more insight on that, you know, but what I can do is I can look at this DAO that they're setting up. It looks very promising. At least they've got some, you know, reputable companies and people in good places on that board, you know, advising and, you know, making the decisions about where the project's going. For me, I feel like they need to get in bed with, you know, the right projects, the right games, and make it fun. I don't think they're going to be able to ride off the coattails of the fame and the fortune for too much longer before people start inevitably poking holes in it and people start losing interest. So you know, it's all going to depend on the utility in the long term. But for now, you know, with the options they have for the trading, with the directors that they've got on the board of the DAO, I feel like it's not going anywhere fast. You know, it's going to be around for a good 6 to 12 months at least before people start getting impatient. But you know, at that stage, we need to start seeing some improvements.
Yeah, and I mean, really, who the heck knows? How can you even give a guess on what's going to happen in 1 month, let alone 6 for, you know, really anything right now? You know?
Yeah.
Dom, can I say one thing? Like, Bored Ape holders are psychopaths. Like, I guarantee there's people that are like holding 100K tokens, eating ramen, like in a 1-bedroom apartment. Like, they're psychopaths with holding assets and not selling. God. And the distribution's low, man. Like, I'm not investment advice, all this stuff, but the distribution went to the DAO and it went to these holders who are absolute degenerates when it comes to diamond handing things. So,
I mean, diamond handing is one thing, and I think that's good to have those people in your project, but if nobody's really, I mean, if there's no real good reason in an early stage right now to really trade it or buy it for anybody else who doesn't own a Bored Ape, which they don't really have right now. I mean, there's not really a good reason to be buying it with any kind of utility. Maybe a few things here, you know, like you mentioned something about Snoop Dogg doing a drop, but in general, you know, they haven't rolled that out. And I think that maybe that was maybe the only misstep I would say here is that I might have waited until I had a little bit more of my metaverse or my main use case for that token a little bit closer to being ready before dropping the token. they kind of like overshadowed some of their big news here. They easily could have rode off the merging of CryptoPunks and Meebits with their brand a little bit longer, and push it off and push the coin drop off a little bit further, so it was closer to when they would have something to show with their metaverse and like real actual main use case for the token.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Like I said, in the next year with them, let alone the next 6 months, I'm sure they'll be around. But like ETH 2.0, I'm sure the Bored Ape Yacht Club metaverse is right around the corner. Actually, honestly, I would put money down that we'll see their metaverse before we see ETH 2.0.
That's probably true. A lot easier to build that metaverse out that with all that big money they got than to get ETH 2.0 going.
But speaking of Ethereum and protocol side things, let's jump into our next topic here with a story relating to Immutable X and GameStop. We've talked about this a bit before on the channel, but GameStop, for those of you who don't know, actually announced news that they're going to be partnering with Immutable X and launching an NFT marketplace on the Immutable X protocol, which is like what I would consider the premier layer 2 specifically for blockchain gaming, NFTs, and the metaverse currently for Ethereum. And this came, the news stories started coming out about this again shortly after GameStop just had a huge drop in their stock price due to like really bad Q4 earnings report. And I mean, that's no surprise, right? GameStop as a business has been basically on the tail end of Blockbuster for the past 10 years now, right? But I'm curious to see if this is gonna revitalize their business, and if it's gonna be something that keeps them kind of going into the next era here. Stache, let me ask you first. Do you think GameStop's going to be able to ramp up this NFT marketplace before it's like too late for the company? I mean, people are like, it's already been in the news and been kind of a joke as a company for some time now. I'm sure a really bad showing on earnings last quarter isn't helping right now.
I mean, I think that they'll probably get around to it. I don't know that it's going to be, detrimental to them if they don't get it done, this quarter or Q2, this upcoming quarter. But, the sooner they do, the better outlook it is going to be for them in general. They lost a lot of value last year, but they also pumped a lot last year. So if you talk about their stock price, people were saying, oh my gosh, they're down this much, but they were up a massive amount. It was the biggest, I think it was the biggest winning stock of 2021 from what I saw. So, I mean, that in conjunction with the fact that Immutable gave them a big fat bounty of their tokens, kind of sitting at about $150 million, which is about what they lost, in value last year. Maybe there's some correlation there, but I think they'll turn it around.
Didn't they also paper hand those tokens? Didn't we talk about that? They sure
did, and we definitely talked about that. They dropped like 50 mil right away and cashed them out. And looking back, probably a decent. It was a decent move. It was a good move at the time. I was kind of like, man, you guys could have waited a little bit. It was like, we got the tokens. All right, cash them out now.
I mean, yeah, they're just following the standard crypto VC model. That's just how she goes, right? Yeah. But let me get your guys, or Hysteria, let me ask you, even if they do get this marketplace up and running, like, do you think that it's going to be enough? Like there's a million marketplaces, right? Immutable themselves have a marketplace. Like, do you think that this GameStop marketplace is going to take up enough market share to even be significant?
Not with the current state of play to earn gains. No, I don't think the market is ready to provide that value to them for this. I feel like it's a good move for them to get it ready to, iron out the creases, make sure they can onboard these, new games with the utility and start to make a name for themselves. But if they're thinking this is going to be, a quick solution and that's going to be that, then I think they're going to be very much mistaken.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there hasn't really been much or any info at all about like how this marketplace is going to, bring value back to the end user. how this is there going to be like another token associated with it, like a GameStop token or something like that? Like we don't really even know. So it's probably a ways out, and who's to say that it's going to be something people even want to use once it does come out.
We have an example on Wax of one marketplace that does reward its users with a token, and another marketplace that maybe looks a bit better and doesn't. And the one with the token, if I'm not mistaken, Sammy's not doing as well as the one without the token.
Branding, isn't it? About branding.
Yeah. So what can they do when someone makes a decision and they say, this is the place I'm going to buy my NFTs from this chain now? What reason do they have to go use another marketplace? So you're right, they're going to have to come out with something really compelling.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Like, I wonder if in this deal with Immutable X there was any sort of clause that they needed to stay within, like, exclusively Immutable X. If there was the option of moving multi-chain at some point too, to non-EVM. Actually, I don't know how layer 2s with going back to layer 1 to other EVM compatible chains works. Not computer science major over here, but I have a basic understanding of these things. But Sammy, let me ask you, like, say the NFT marketplace isn't enough, right? Like, and obviously they've now pivoted their, kind of business model in a pretty significant way towards blockchain technology, right? So, like, what could you see being like any other ventures that they might be that they might get into in like NFTs, blockchain gaming, or the metaverse?
Oh, I don't know. There seems to be like a lot of like fools, like like newbie traps. If they try and get involved and build their own metaverse, I'm almost certain that would be a failure. Like, I think the best thing that they can do is maybe marketplace, but then excel. Like, what are GameStop good at? They're getting good at establishing like business process, getting people to buy the games, getting memberships, getting all that sort of thing. So you get a marketplace, and on top of that, you need to provide the value, right? So the number one used marketplace, I think, for Immutable, like the one more use case, is you go to Gods Unchained and you want to buy the rest of the deck you don't own, right? So that provides value. And that's why I use certain marketplaces. So if GameStop have a series of services to essentially onboard users into specific games that are big on Immutable, then that is a value-added service. I actually don't think that they should get into other areas. I just think that it's too, like, are they going to really make their own blockchain game? Like, they don't have any history of doing that. Like, maybe they could buy over one. I think maybe the best thing that they can do is acquisition. If they want to grow their brand in this space, acquire because and get moving quickly. But I think that what they are a marketplace in real life, so they just need to take the same principles and apply them to extracting the most amount of like giving users a lot of value, helping them get on board into games, but then really, really, really extracting as much money as they can out of their customers, which is what they always excelled at, and what people made fun of them for. Like, like giving you like trade in your old NFTs and we'll give you
5 cents.
2 cents. So that, like, I can kind of see them doing similar things they've done in the past, but like who's gonna go to the GameStop metaverse? Like, no one really cares.
No,
I
was gonna say, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there as well. I think they missed a pretty big opportunity if they had got in just a little bit sooner, as being like, hey, we're going to be the number one place where you can go and buy and resell your games as an NFT. But you see platforms like Ultra.io that have kind of beat them to the punch in a very big way that they'll probably never be able to get on. I think that less so where they need to do acquisition. I think they really could do better with like brand partnerships. So if they could get more partnerships with bigger brands to kind of be, maybe not exclusive, but be the first place where you're going to be able to go and get their NFTs in their marketplace. That could also be a good driver of adoption of traffic too, to try and generate revenue. Yeah, metaverse would not work.
No way.
But think about having GameStops in every other metaverse, Right, like there's a little
Yeah.
GameStop, like, you know what I'm saying? You can walk into it and be like, hey, I want to trade this NFT for something else, or, you know, I don't know. There's some possibility there, but I think they just haven't like creatively worked it out very well.
Or no, Sammy, I liked what you were getting at too, in kind of talking about how they should stay with, you know, being a marketplace, but then, you know, figure out a way to add value to that. Like, I know one, like you're talking about wax marketplaces, or one marketplace that, you know, what you said reminded me of is like Peak Monsters or some of the Splinterlands marketplace,
Yeah.
like help you, you know, craft your deck, or you know, find the best deals on cards, right? That sort of thing is like you said, a value add service. And like, it would be funny to see in the future GameStop become like, I think I said this before, but like become like like the car dealership of like metaverses, where like you go to the GameStop and like there's like the NFT sales rep that like shows you around their showroom, where they have like a hologram or, you know, some kind of VR setup of the Star Atlas like ship, where, you know, and obviously in the, you know, these NFTs, if we're in this, what people talk about the metaverse of the future being, you know, you're going to need to get a loan, right, to get the best NFT spaceship in Star Atlas, right? And you know, what is GameStop going to do? They're going to finance your NFT and put you into that, you know, into that Star Cruiser. But Q, let me ask you, man, like, where do you see GameStop in the future, man? Like, do you think they're still going to be around? Like, what do you think this NFT marketplace is going to succeed? What do you think what do you think they're doing?
It sounds like you're talking about like the Metaverse Mafia, where they're like loan sharks that are going to come out, and if you don't pay your loan back, they're going to break some kneecaps. Dude, honestly, this looks like a half-ass move. Like somehow maybe like a smaller arm of the company got some autonomy to like go and do this, because I'm looking at the website and it hasn't changed for like 6 months. They still have that like Game Boy that says power to the players, power to the creators. Like, it doesn't feel like a full company move. It doesn't feel like a full company move. Like, it almost feels like they had to sell those tokens to get the sign off from the overhead people being like, look, this actually like yielded some results for the company. Let us continue this. Like, it just doesn't feel like they jumped fully in. So I don't think they'll have much success, but you know, what does success look like? They have to determine that. I don't know.
I don't think I've seen, or I mean, I just looked, and the GameStop homepage looks exactly the same to me as it did 10 years ago. So, you know, things don't change much in the traditional gaming world, it seems, especially for retailers who, you know, just sell the hardware. But yeah, you know, who knows what's going to happen with GameStop? They're still trying to stay relevant. Who knows if they're going to be the next Blockbuster, or, you know, if in 10 years they're, you know, like a big conglomerate metaverse corporation, you know. So interesting to see what's going to happen here. This is their first step, and, you know, it's going to make or break them probably in this space. So interesting to see how that plays out. But let's jump into our last topic here. A bit of a general one, but an important one nonetheless. When mass adoption, I know we talk about this all the time, especially, you know, we're always talking about how NFTs are probably, or are most likely going to be what onboard more people than ever into crypto, right? And not only that, in terms of just the use cases of crypto in general, it infinitely expands that, right, of blockchain technology just in general. But Stache, let me ask you, like, what would you say to someone who thinks NFTs are just a fad, or are like some kind of scam, or that they're just like, you know, they're here now, you know, it's like tulip mania or whatever?
Yeah, I'll buy all the tulips. You know, the thing is that just like any other technology, there's people who are going to get it and not going to get it. And I don't want to use that as an excuse, because then a lot of the NFT people are saying, well, you're just saying I don't get it, you don't want to explain it. Well, that's not necessarily the case. And the case is that whereas this technology is being used for specific things right now that are very surface level, there is a huge long-term potential for this technology. And that's something that I think a lot of people will sweep underneath the rug. they'll put a spotlight on what's happening right now and say, oh, it's just all degens, it's all about scams. NFTs are scams in general, because they're only seeing a very surface level, exposure. They're only getting a very surface level exposure of NFTs in general. But when you really start to have that long-term vision to see where will this be in 5 or 10 years, how many people had that vision with the internet in the late 90s? Very few. So whereas you could say, oh, it's going to be the most amazing thing. Wait till you could do this and this, and you'd be explaining it, and then you could use the same thing, and you could say, well, you just don't get it. But what it comes down to is a lot of people just don't have a long-term vision path. They don't think in that kind of long-term and are able to see how it can transform from what it is now to what it could potentially be in 5 to 10 years. They only can really critique on how they see it happening now, and then that they've made up their mind based upon that, and now it's a scam. And so, I mean, when you really look at the biggest use case, I think, is with gamers. I think gaming, even though we've seen a lot of gamers really push back on NFTs, I think that will still be the main mode of adoption for NFTs, because there's so much utility there. Right now, we are seeing it. It's very early. There's very few really legit studios that are utilizing NFTs in an effective manner. And there's a lot of people out there getting scammed and putting a high dollar on these NFTs, selling NFTs for thousands of dollars. But, when they just become the system that replaces skins and how those work right now, they don't have to be things that are sold for $1,000. It's just like you would right now. You go to the Epic Game Store and you buy a skin that, is limited edition to, 50,000, and it's $10. And so I think some games have gotten it right, and others just, have been real cash grabby. And I think that really gives things a bad name. But the long-term potential is there. We just need to have people wake up and kind of see that. Not everybody's going to be able to do it right now, not until it's in their face, until it's happening right in front of them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's particularly hard to really. I mean, none of us have like the full picture, right, of what this is going to be in 5 years. Because if anyone tells you they know, yeah, I mean, if Stache is the NFT Oracle, guys, he's the only one who knows exactly what's going to happen. But I don't think any of us really know what exactly is going to happen, right? But I think it's especially hard for people to have that 5-year vision. Like, first you need to really understand the technology itself, right? And that's not always the easiest thing to do, even when it's explained pretty simply, just because of blockchain, a lot of jargon, a lot of people trying to overcomplicate things when it should be explained pretty simply to beginners, right? So like, Hysteria, let me ask you, what would you need to have happen to say that like NFT technology has found mass adoption? What would you need to see happening? Like, what would you need to see NFTs being used for to say, okay, like they made it, they're here, they're not going anywhere?
So, I think a lot of the time we're pinning our hopes on gaming being that, breakthrough where people accept it. But I think it's way, way more than that. People would never see gaming as a potential way to make a living. People are not going to be leaving their jobs, and pursuing a career in crypto just on the back of playing games, because when has that ever been something that's been universally accepted? But I can't remember the name of the project, but I heard of a project, it was a utilities company, and it was like if you buy a certain amount of power, you get an NFT which represents the amount of power that you're due to receive from that turbine or wind farm or wherever it was. And then if you don't use all of that power, you have what you're left with behind, and then that automatically gets traded on a decentralized marketplace, and the price can go up or down depending on the demand. Now, when we start seeing things like that and people start, thinking, hang on a minute, this is viable now. NFT is something that are benefiting me and the way I live, and I'm able to more accurately pay my power bill, and I can do what I want with this power. I don't need to sell it now. I can keep it and try and sell it at a time that's where it's more in demand. And I've got this additional layer of control over the finances of my normal day-to-day life. Oh, well, now it might be a time where it could be feasible for me to go and pursue this as a career and see what else is possible. But whilst we're just pinning it on games, I don't think it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I could see it starting with games, and then, I mean, NFTs are already being used, or at least thought of as being used for or as potential use cases for things like, I mean, gosh, one of the things that like, you'll never have to go to a notary ever again, right? Because you'll be able to, or you'll be able to have documents digitally verified, on chain, in a fashion that authenticates it, right? Whereas you would normally need to go somewhere in person, have all kinds of, basically waste hours of your day doing things you'd rather not be doing, right? So Sammy, let me ask you, like, what do you think are some of the most promising use cases for NFTs that we're going to see probably emerge, that are emerging today, and that you think might emerge in the coming years?
So emerging today, I really like the whole idea of either going to the cinema or going to a sports game, something physical in real life, and getting a digital collectible as a result. So like people already in the baseball, they do the bobbleheads, but like kids are going to want to go to games to get a special digital collectible on their phone. And then they're going to get familiar with the ideas of NFTs at a young age. Like it'll get people to events in real life, which they need to incentivize anyway. But then also it's a reward that they don't need to manufacture the bobbleheads anymore. Just have a digital bobblehead. People will love it. Your kids will love it. It gets people to like the baseball. I'm like, that's a surefire thing. I mean, Mark Cuban's all about that with what they want to do with the Mavericks. He wants to do like, the tickets are NFTs. And so the whole sports industry is a huge. Entertainment and sports are both like, that's what we're going to see in the short term and really good use cases for it. In the longer term, what Hysteria was talking about with the trading of utilities is like, oh, that's so cool. But also like fractionalized ownership of properties and other things like inflation, the price of houses is going up to the roof. Like people are going to want to be able to feel like it's more accessible to own it. Like it feels more comfortable to me to have an NFT than to have a document saying that I own it. For me, it feels more real that I can go on at any time and look into it. That feels more real to me, having experienced NFTs. So,
well, yeah, I think fractionalized real estate is going to be a really cool thing too, but I don't think anyone's going to have their fractionalized piece of 101 boardwalk, right, and be able to have claim to like the one bed in it, right, or like one of the beds in it.
Who knows?
That could work really well for something like an Airbnb
or like a hostel or something,
right? Where it's not
you could have the 3D vector coordinates programmed into the NFT, so you could have real 3D space assigned to the NFT.
Yeah, I mean, think about having like a place like that where maybe you can you get access through your NFT into this house, but then you only get access to the common space and your room with that NFT as well because you have the 1/3 fraction of this 3-bedroom house. So there's some crazy use cases that come.
Yeah, that is interesting.
But those are all industries that are a lot harder to make inroads into. They're a lot more entrenched in the long term. So that's a much longer roadmap, and that's why I always say gaming is kind of it's the avenue for adoption because it moves so quickly and it's already there. The digital items and familiarity with digital value is already there, and I think it's a much shorter jump for that industry. As much as they might want to push back now, it will be better for literally everybody that is involved. It's hard to see it. I think it's hard for gamers to see it. I mean, in chat too, I've seen Pixie Kitty, and she's somebody who I became friends with on Theta, and when I first got started, she didn't know anything about NFTs, and now she's totally into it and understands the power as a gamer, as a traditional gamer who has now kind of come over and started messing with NFTs and digital assets that are cryptographically secured. So,
and yeah, I mean the first wave of many to come, and it's funny like what you mentioned about being able to only access like 1/3 of a house. Like imagine what is going to be able to be done with like property management companies and smart homes in the future, and like that could be, it could be used for convenience or like advancing things forward. But and also that sort of thing feels a little like it could slide to the dystopian side too. You know what I mean? Where like, you can't, you're on house arrest or whatever. And you're actually locked in your room, right? Because your NFT access won't let you leave, which that's like a nightmare fuel, But Q, let me ask you, like, what do you see being or like what industries are you most excited to see NFTs disrupt?
I think you guys hit on most of what I would answer is gaming. I mean, I'm a huge gamer. I cannot wait for us to really be able to like see AAA games and be able to have, ownership within those games. But I feel like one industry or sector, if you want to call it, is kind of overlooked because it's right in our face. It's the PFP sector. Like this idea that over the last 2 years, people have shown that they want to be, I guess they want to have their unique avatar in the metaverse. And it's kind of an extension of gaming in a way. But over the past 2 years, I mean, Twitter used to look like LinkedIn. Like Twitter used to just have your face, it would look like it would literally have like your profile picture. People didn't have pictures of apes as their faces on Twitter 4 years ago. They just didn't. They had, for the most part, they had pictures of their headshot like it would look on LinkedIn. And what you see now is a complete 180, and everyone has their own unique avatar. And I think that that's just in our face a lot, and it's kind of bastardized with all these people taking advantage and launching shitty projects. But it's cool to see that development. Another one's music. I'm not a big music head, but we host some different content creators create music NFT based shows on our network. So I'm learning about like how it all works, and there's some composability features there where like you can own part of a song, or you can put two parts of a song together. And like you can create this song that would never have existed before based on owning the NFT.
Or like I think another interesting thing that we'll see happen in the music industry with NFTs is like there are already like sample marketplaces today where you can go and buy samples for creating songs, right? Where people currently sell sample packs and things like that. But I'm sure that adding an NFT component will be able to bring some value back to those creating the samples, right? I'm not sure how revenue or royalties work with those types of things either. But we're seeing that at the song level too, or right? So who's to say that it wouldn't work at the sample level if you break it down that way? But yeah, tons of interesting things to come from NFTs. We're only at the beginning of what's going to be a really crazy decade of not just NFTs, but crypto and all technologies, making the world a pretty wacky place, but more interesting than ever to live in. And I'm excited for it, and also a little bit scared, but that's probably a good thing. Happy to have you guys on the show again, man. I want to thank you guys for watching, for coming on. It was a great Monday. Hope to see you guys again next Monday. Before we sign off, don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out our guests' channels in the description below. They do a ton of great content, and we love bringing them on here. So show them some love too. But that's all we got for you guys. This has been Around the Metaverse. We out.